My name is Robbin Emery, Grays Harbor County, Washington, and I'm a victim of the juvenile courts and the family court system. I dealt with the juvenile court system about 6 years ago with my daughter, and I sat and I watched families be ripped apart by Judge Gordon Godfrey. To this day, I still get upset at what he has done to some of these families and the children that I saw in handcuffs at 6 years old in the juvenile court system. Not just my child, but all the children that had to go through there when Judge Gordon Godfrey was the judge in the juvenile court system. So there was so many things that happened, I can't even name them all, so I will just give you a couple highlights that I just stick out vividly in my mind. And one was me crying over a 6-year-old that didn't make his bed, that got thrown into handcuffs to go into his house. That's what he calls it. You're coming to stay at my house. That's what Judge Gordon Godfrey calls it when he was in the juvenile court system. I lost all respect for the Grays Harbor County court system when I had the prosecutor arguing with Judge Godfrey that what he was trying to do at that time was against the Supreme Court ruling that the judge couldn't do that, and the judge told him, I don't think the Supreme Court's going to come down here and challenge my decisions. I watched my daughter. He wouldn't even let me hug my daughter when he threw her in jail. I was not allowed to touch her. She was 15 years old. She'd never been in trouble before. I couldn't even say goodbye. I was standing right next to her. I got yelled at for that. She had a court-appointed attorney that was doing absolutely nothing for her. So after calling him and calling him and calling him, and the time was coming where she had to go into court to face the judge with not even seeing him, and no replies from her attorney, I went down to where his attorney's office was, and he wasn't there, so I left a note on his window for everyone to see. Well, come to find out, the judge didn't quite like that very much, because boy, did I get my chewed in court. How dare I do that to this poor criminal attorney that volunteers his time for free. But my kid did get another attorney, and then she wasn't in trouble after that. But I'm sorry, there's just so much stuff, and I know I don't have a lot of time to say it. I finally had to pull my kid out of Grays Harbor County to get her out of this system, which I did. And funny, once she's out of Grays Harbor County, she was never in trouble again. So, I don't know. Grays Harbor County residents, if you have never dealt with this court system, I feel so lucky for you. Others, you need to stand up and you need to shout out what these people are doing to our children in this county. Nothing is going to change until you say something. People are terrified. We understand that, but you're not alone. I've seen when Judge Godfrey was the judge in the juvenile court system, so many children, so many small children put in handcuffs for just not making their bed. I cried. I literally cried for the child when he was put in handcuffs for not making his bed. I've never seen anything like it. Never seen anything like it. And as far as the mood of the day, shall we say, I sat there and I watched, and he would be fairly good first part of the day, but the first child that upset him, or if one of the lawyers upset him, one of the parents upset him, God help the children that came afterwards. You might as well have just gone home, because they were all going to jail. I don't know how we had that much room in our jails. When he was judge at the juvenile detention center, that courtroom was, you couldn't even stand in it. It was packed, wall to wall with kids he had in there. It ran out the hallway, down the hall, all the way to the bathroom some days. Why? Why? Because somebody didn't do their homework? Somebody didn't make their bed? I mean, I know every child's not perfect. Mine, for sure, was not a perfect child. But the harshness and cruelty that he unleashes on these children was just beyond words. Beyond words. So, warning to all mothers, grandmothers, fathers, grandfathers, uncles, aunts. If your child ever gets in trouble in Grays Harbor County, you won't be seeing them for a while. You can count on watching your child, I don't care if he's 5 years old, cuffed and taken to his house, because that's what he calls it, his house, for a little visit. Then you get the joy of seeing your small child marched out when they come back to court, and not only handcuffs, but shackles. So please, people, you need to stand up in Grays Harbor County. Nothing will change until this happens. This needs to stop. God needs to go back to heaven where he belongs.